Tom Holland is the latest Spider-Man. He is, in my opinion, the best Spider-Man. However, you have the right to your own opinion. So, before I start, just know that this is my opinion and you have the right to your own. So, yeah. Out of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland has portrayed the role of the wall crawler the best. The first part I'm going to talk about is just the overall, feeling of being Spider-Man. When it comes to portraying Spider-Man, Tom Holland really fits what one would look for in Spider-Man. He's quippy, he's young, and just looks like what Peter Parker looks like. He looks like a young high school student. Now, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire were cast in their mid-late 20s, and they just looked too old to be in high school. Tom Holland in Spider-Man Homecoming, he acts actually like what a normal high school student would do if they were Spider-Man. For example, when he goes to fight in Civil War, he's vlogging it on his phone, which is what a normal teenager these days would do. I mean, just think about it. If you were Spider-Man and Tony Stark asked you to go to New York and to Germany and fight with him, you would probably record it on your phone. So, yeah, overall portraying the role of Spider-Man, he does the best. Now we'll talk about the suit. A lot of people seem to complain about Tom Holland because he didn't create his suit. Well, thing about that is, he actually technically did. He didn't create the Stark Tech suit or the Iron Spider suit, yes. But his first suit was the homemade suit that he made himself. And people seem to forget that that happened. And I actually think that's pretty cool, because when it comes to Tom Holland being in the Marvel Cinematic Universe with all the other Marvel Cinematic Universe characters, when he was introduced in Civil War, Tony gave him an upgrade, and it makes sense that the way that the story was portraying that this would happen. And Andrew Garfield's first suit was by far what I think is the worst looking Spider-Man suit ever, and it just looked, it was just an eyesore to look at. His suit in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I have nothing really to complain about it. They really fixed it. Tobey Maguire's suit, it looks pretty good. I have no real complaints about it, and I can't really harp on something that was made in 2002, so yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. Now, we're going to talk about the movies themselves. Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 1 by Tobey Maguire, it was good, but the only thing I didn't like about it, and a lot of people seem to not like about it, is the fact that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man didn't have web shooters. He had organic webs that shot out of his wrists. Now, spiders can spin webs, but they don't spin them out of their wrists. They spin them out of their gluteus maximus. And part of Spider-Man's origin story in the comic books is him creating the web shooters. Now, for the rest of it, they were pretty accurate to the story. Spider-Man 2 was pretty good, but the only thing I don't like about it is just Mary Jane. She's a very unlikable character because she breaks up with Peter because he's Spider-Man and dates his best friend, and then get back together with him because she doesn't care. And in Spider-Man 3, it just wasn't wasn't good. Plus, there was Emo Maguire, which I don't think anybody really likes, and yeah. So, The Amazing Spider-Man and The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Now, they fixed a lot of things from Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and The Amazing Spider-Man. They had him have web shooters. They had Andrew Garfield a little bit more quippy, but there is a few problems with this one as well. I didn't like the reason for becoming Spider-Man. It was out of vengeance, and he wasn't acting like your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He was acting out of just pure revenge. He said a few times, like, "Oh, you're lucky you're not the guy. This could have gotten a lot worse." Like this scene right here. And, they did fix that towards the end of the movie because he did become a hero, but I just didn't really like that. It was just a rehash of the first one. Amazing Spider-Man 2 just added more complicated and unnecessary backstory towards Peter Parker's parents, Richard and Mary Parker, for some reason. And I can tell that Sony intended to make a cinematic universe around Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, because in the end, you can see in the background there's some things that hint towards Sinister Six. However, this never happened, because in Captain America Civil War, Tom Holland's Spider-Man was introduced. His movie, Spider-Man Homecoming, was by far the best Spider-Man movie, and people will say, "Oh, I'm not going to see this one because there's already been 2 other Spider-Men." That's completely biased, and it's a stupid point, because I feel Spider-Man Homecoming is the best one out of all 3. They didn't focus on the backstory, which allowed time to get to the plot of the movie, and it introduced villains that we'd never seen. The Vulture. We've seen the Green Goblin before. Twice now, actually. And they introduced something that me and a lot of other Spider fans have wanted to see. The Vulture. It's really cool how they made the Vulture, because they switched him from his comics. A lot of people seem to complain because he doesn't look like he does in the comics. Well, as the costume designer said, the suit that the Vulture has in the comics looks a little showboating, and I like the fact that they combined the alien tech with his wingsuit, because it just makes sense that this would happen. And Michael Keaton was super good at being the Vulture. Like, really, really good. The villain's motives were pretty good. He was the guy that was salvaging parts from past Avengers fights who was forced to stop. He keeps them and makes the weapons and sells them. I thought that this movie was really good in terms of being quippy when he does the bank robbery. It was a really good conflict of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Plus, his crush Liz, her father lived. And nobody died in that entire movie. Plus, I liked the Stark Tech suit. It was pretty cool, with the whole Karen thing and all the web shooter combinations. Because in the comic books, he does have a lot of different web shooter combos. Like, he has a net web shooter. He does a lot of different things with his web shooters. And Tony gave him that, which is pretty cool. And like I said, it was cool to see him vlogging the events from Captain America Civil War, because that's what a teenager would do if they were Spider-Man. So, I guess, in the end, I would rate Tom Holland's Spider-Man 10 webs out of 10. I would rate Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man -5 out of 10 webs. And, Tobey Maguire's would be 5 webs out of 10. Thank you for watching this opinion video.